How do you work out the length of a side in a right-angled triangle? A very long time ago, a Greek philosopher, Pythagoras, came up with a theorem about right-angled triangles. He said that the area of the square of the hypotenuse, which is the side opposite the right angle, is equal to the sum of the areas of the squares of the other two sides. We can write this as a formula. C squared equals A squared plus B squared. An easy way of remembering this is cab, as in taxi.
Let's say we're given a scenario of leaning a ladder against a wall. The ladder reaches 3 meters from the ground to where the ladder hits the wall and is set 1 meter out from the wall. Find the length of the ladder. To do this, we know the two shorter sides, so we just substitute the values given. Sometimes drawing the triangle helps us see what we know and what is left to find out. So, using the formula c squared equals a squared plus b squared, we have c squared equals 1 squared plus 3 squared. This gives us c squared equals 10. That makes c, the length of the ladder, root 10 or 3.16 meters to 2 decimal places. Always include your units and round to whatever the question requests.
Let's consider the following scenario in the same way. A car travels 150 miles from Cardiff to London and then on to Edinburgh, travelling an extra 414 miles. How many miles does the car travel back to Cardiff? As you can see from the map, a right-angled triangle is formed between the three capital cities, and the distance we need is one of the shorter sides. Let's call it B. Using the formula c squared equals a squared plus b squared, we have 414 squared equals 150 squared plus b squared.
Here we need to rearrange the formula to make b the subject. Moving 150 squared to the other side of the equation will change it from a positive to a negative. So we now have 414 squared minus 150 squared equals b squared. Work this out, being careful of the minus and the squares, and you get 148,896 equals b squared. This means the value of b, or the distance from Edinburgh to Cardiff, is 386 miles, correct to 3 significant figures. A good checking point is the fact that this value is less than the longest distance, which is 414 miles.
Sometimes questions involve coordinates, and we need to remember how to plot coordinates. We also need to know properties of circles if they're involved. Let's say we're asked to calculate the length of r if Q lies at 0.60 and P lies at 0.64.
Here, we need the length of x, which is the distance from 0, 0 to 6, 0, so it's just 6 units. The length of y is from 6, 0 to 6, 4, in the y direction only, so this is 4 units. Knowing our two short sides, we can apply our formula, c squared equals a squared plus b squared, and substitute in what we know. So r squared equals 6 squared plus 4 squared. This means r squared equals 36 plus 16, which is 52. Square root to find the length of r, and we get 7.211. This is 7.2 units, correct to 1 decimal place. There we have it, the basics of Pythagoras' theorem.